Hello, everybody, and welcome in to the first Philly B Grand Prix of 2026. You might remember me from last year, but now you can actually see my face. How's it going, everyone? My name's Steven Meister. Very excited to be here with you all to enjoy this opening match. And it's going to be a big one here. Probably the two favorite teams coming through for the Philly B Grand Prix going to be streamed live right here for you on the firing squad. And with me, I have Xana Zurge. Xana, you've been here for a long time, longer than I have, that's for sure. So why don't you tell us anything you need to tell us about the Grand Prix itself, and then of course the matchup we're going to be seeing today.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very excited to be back, mainly working on the content team. So, this is my second season writing content for the various groups here. So, a lot of returning players, which I'm very excited to see, as well as a lot of newcomers. So, a lot of fresh faces. Particularly, we have two of the top three teams heading into this split, at least in my opinion, in post traumatic syndrome, as well as XSV. So again, marquee matchup. Very excited to see how it plays out, and we are live in draft.
Yeah, if you haven't seen the Discord or been in the Discord rather, Xana and Julian, I think someone else as well, I don't remember your name, I apologize, but they post content talking about the teams, breaking down top picks and how they expect them to do. We do have the unanimous first overall team in the power rankings in post-traumatic sin disorder on the red side, and then XSV Corn, who are ranked about second to third on average. Maybe you'd be closer to second because no other team is really kind of as consistent as they were ranked. It was Philly putting them, I think it was Philly, yeah, my bad. Philly obviously wrote some of the content as well. He had them ranked second, and then Julian and Xana had them third, I believe. So it is going to be some high quality games. As we've said, we are underway into the draft. It's going to be the Gangplank, the Viego, and Caitlyn being banned by XSV Corn. And then for PTSD, we do see the Karma taken away along with the Xin Zhao and the Wukong. A couple of big jungle bans by PTSD going against the star jungler, one of the top three players in the league coming in by rank, Sailor, the D1 jungler for XSV, a couple of his big picks being taken away there. Smolder with the B1, and then the response of the Victor Seraphine. So some pretty safe scaling picks to start out here, I'd say.
Yeah, and honestly, this is either shame on PTSD for not reading my article, or they're just straight up egoing the draft because they let Maddie have the smolder, which
That's
is the
right.
number one thing that I wrote in my report to not do. Um, and I know Turn Up Tom, who is their coach, is definitely reading my article. So this is a pure ego play by PTSD. I'm excited to see how it shakes out.
Well, they're really leaning into the scaling now here to go with the Mel and the Orn. I'm very intrigued to see what this response will be by PTSD before we head into the second round of the drafting, because it's definitely seeming like XSV, they're just gonna chill out. They're gonna keep their distance. They're gonna play at the range, let that Mel do her thing in the mid lane. Smolder, of course, scaling up, and then the Orn getting those ornament upgrades later on as well. Final pick coming in here from PTSB going to be the Ezreal lock-in. So matching that ADC spot, we'll have to see. Again, it's mid and then support AD carry. So top jungle saved for later. Maybe I guess you have to pick probably the top or the AD carry now. So given the comfort pick, perhaps for Moon there onto the Ezreal. Again, pretty just stock standard. Both sides going to be playing their range. A lot of utility coming through from the Seraphine and the Ezreal in that lane. Not that classic Ashe pairing that we all know so well by this point, but still the Ezreal going to provide a lot of poke coming down to kind of supplement the Victor. And then we're starting to see these first rounds of bans come through now as well. It's going to be the Lee Sin coming out first for PTSD. So another ban, three of the four so far going the way against Sailor. Do you think that fourth and final one's going to be another jungle ban as well? He does have a pretty deep champion pool, but you
It's
might as
gotta
well just
be.
take what you can, right?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, XSV is very scale late game comp, which means their early game is prone to being abused. So they need to go for an aggressive early game jungler. They got rid of Xin, Lee, Wukong. So PTSD is winning the draft from that respect. But at the same time, they're drafting a lot of, hey, I want to press R and win the game ults. Whereas XSV just drafted Mel and says, F you. I don't care about your R buttons, right?
Yeah.
So both teams are kind of really turning the tides each pick in draft. But XSV really needs to go for an aggressive jungler here to have a shot.
Well, I mean, it's gonna be tough pickings now for that. All of these 4 final bans
Yeah.
have been for the jungle. Lee Sin, Vi for PTSD, and now Jarvan and Nocturne as well from XSV's side. So I'm taking a look at what Sailor could maybe pick here. We'll see again, maybe well, I guess I have to pick it here because it's gonna be Pantheon coming through for PTSD. That's another jungler taken away. So Xin Zhao's off the board. Zehen is available. That was his most played in his solo queue from what I saw in his OPGG. So it could be this a hen lock in. There's also some other things, maybe a little bit more niche, like a Volley Bear or the Viego that was taken away. Maybe like a Dr. Mundo's also up there. Udyr would be an interesting pick
Ooh.
coming through. That's not something that I would have expected, especially for game one, with the Zehen the most played being available. But that is going to be the lock-in. So that definitely adds kind of a different dynamic. Again, obviously not the most scaling champion, but it's just very
Yeah.
annoying to deal with, and obviously has the things like the empowered, is it still bear stance now? I know they made that change to be able to go through some of the CC coming through, maybe run through that Victor gravity field, maybe of be not as affected by the Seraphine Encore. But the Vel'Koz coming through now, that's going to be Vel'Koz. Is it going to be Vel'Koz mid or is it going to be Mel mid and then the other one going to be support?
It has to be Vel'Koz mid just because you want to send the
Okay.
Mel to those two champs that like to press their R buttons. But even then, if you look at XSV's draft, they just have almost no lockdown CC. Their greatest hope is
Yeah.
Mel hero landing a root or Ornn with his long range ability. Other than that, that's Ezreal, and especially on the best AD carry in our league on paper, is just going to be super safe, constantly pump out damage. And I find it's going to be really tough for XSV to get to that late game just based off of how the draft is looking right now.
Yeah, it's two early mid game picks coming through for PTSD to round out the draft with the Pantheon and the Aatrox. So you definitely have something to play for there. The front line not going to be quite the same as that Ornn and Udyr, but Aatrox of course can just drain tank things to oblivion, especially if he gets a couple of kills going in the early game. Plus the Seraphine on top of that can really become a menace. He's going to be playing into Ornn. It's basically like obviously for Aatrox, you want to try to push that lane and apply pressure, get a kill or two if you can, maybe with an early Pantheon gank or something like that to get the ball rolling. Because Ornn will obviously outscale you in the team fights, but that's really what it comes down to, as you said. Can XSV get to like that 25 minutes, probably even more like the 30-minute mark when the Smolder has his stacks and probably 3 items, when Mel has 3 items, Ornn's going to have the upgrades on both of them already. That's when you're going to be really thinking, okay, if it's 30 minutes, as long as like, they're not barreling down their Nexus at that point in time, XSV could have a chance. But PTSD, they have a little bit more proactivity in the early game with those picks. And it's not like their scaling's terrible either. Seraphine, very, very annoying. Probably, just one of the more dominant supports that we've seen in a while. And Ezreal and Victor are very safe pairings to go with it. So I'm very excited to see how this will be playing out. Of course, this is only game one of a best of three, and it is fearless. So as you can see already, too, at the top of the draft screen, all of these champions will not be available going into game two and a potential game three as well. Anything else you want to say, Xana, before we wait for the game to start?
Yeah, I mean, I echo a lot of your sentiments. I think PTSD has the stronger draft coming out of the lobby. But as you said, if XSV can get, in my opinion, at least to 20 minutes and be within 5 kills, they're going to run away with the game. Once Smolder can get online with his full stacks, Ornn can start upgrading some items, that is XSV's win con. But it's just getting to that 20-minute mark versus a hyper aggressive Pantheon. Aatrox is going to look to play to win lane, and you're not going to kill the Ezreal Seraphine with the lack of CC. So XSV just needs to hang tight, hold on, survive, and then they have a shot at the 25-minute mark.
Well, I think we both kind of have that same wavelength. We know what it's going to take for both sides to be able to take this game. We'll have to wait to see to play it on the Rift, though. We'll be back in a couple of minutes here as we wait for the spectator delay to go through, and we'll see you for the start of game one.
Blinding lights, lost in your eyes, feeling the pressure. You and I, spending the night. 'cause your stare won't ever let me go. I'm here only 'cause I'm aware with you is better than all alone. Oh, 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 say what you're dying to say. No, 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 no. Oh, oh, tonight we're stars, but we'll fade away. Go on and light me up. Oh, go on and light me up while we're golden. Come on and light me up. Oh, come on and light me up before we come down. Stars will always come down. So before we come down, down, down. Go on and light me up. Oh, go on and light me up while we're golden. Come on and light me up. Oh, come on and light me up before we come down. What does it mean to be happy? 'Cause it looks like we all don't know. Glass half full or empty. Man, we just putting on a show. Try to look to the heavens to tell us things that we beg to know. Like what did this all mean? There's no tomorrow. Oh, you know, I try to find a purpose in my life to drive me, to guide me. Oh, doctor, I feel dead inside.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Thank you for patiently waiting for the spectator delay, of course. It is time for Game 1 of the 2026 FillyB's Grand Prix between XSV Corn and Post-Traumatic Sin Disorder. A beautiful cinematic opening thanks to our lovely producer here today. And the one thing that we did want to point out before the game starts, hopefully, unless we see some early action here, maybe some early trading, but there is going to be a FillyB's exchange. That's right, where you can make an account and bet some Philly bucks, not real money, not real currency, Philly bucks on these games. So I posted the link in the Twitch chat. I would assume it's closed already now for these games, but hopefully if you're in the Discord you saw it and you were able to participate already. If not, for future weeks that will be up and running. You can sign up, make a quick little account. You'll get some free Philly bucks to place some predictions on who you think is going to win each week's matches. And at the end of the season, there's going to be a cash prize for the top 3 people with the most amount of Philly bucks by the end of it. So be sure to not forget to prolong that anymore if you have already. But we're into the game here, Xana. And it looks like, nothing too crazy's happened. A couple of spells were exchanged in the bot lane there with those wards going down, but seems to be pretty stock standard so far.
I'm sorry, I'm still awestruck at that panoramic view we had it earlier. That was
Absolutely.
immaculate.
I mean,
Thank you, Prod.
on.
That was fantastic.
W Prod.
W Prod for sure. But yeah, it's pretty standard stuff right now. There's no one lane that's gonna, look to get a super heavy aggression. If I was gonna pick a winning lane early, it's gonna be in that bot lane, just because Smolder is gonna scale. He's not gonna be one to really be aggressive early and kind of get that winning matchup. But overall, who did you put your Philly Bucks on to win this game?
I put my Philly Bucks on XSV. I think that for a couple of reasons, I'm trading coming down here. Good reflect, though, to not take anything too much and put it back onto the Seraphine, of course. I went on XSV, partly because, obviously with these two teams being the favorites, basically. If there was a match that you would expect PTSD to lose this early on into the season, it would probably be this one, just going off the power rankings, looking at the master sheet, and seeing the ranks on paper of the individual players. And then now you add on top of the fact, too, that Orion is a substitute support. The normal support 8 times is not currently here for this week. I think that could be enough as well to maybe push it over the edge even more than I already was thinking, with how XSV, again, on paper, should be the team that would stack up the best against them. So I took a little bit of a gamble, not a crazy one. Last I saw, the odds are pretty close, but I think that this would be the time for PTSD to lose.
No, absolutely. I'm the exact same way. In my weekly predictions, I had PTSD winning, but that was before the support substitution.
And we're going to have a knock up here coming from Ornn really quick. Aatrox's going to have to flash away. Sorry to interrupt you there.
Oh, you're fine. Great early gank. That's the kind of pressure and alleviation that Stubby needs to kind of get to that scaling mode. So already, Sailor is showing why he's the best jungler in the league, but we got another counter gank bot lane.
It's going to be a flank coming here from Pantheon. No summoner is going to be used other than the cleanse, so at least something going to be traded on the opposite side there for PTSD. Obviously, would have loved to have gotten the flash, but cleanse is just as good in the early game.
Yeah, I mean, that's a winning trade for XSV, right? All he lost was cleanse, not even flash, so Smolder can stay alive, the wave's pushing in their favor, and Levitin, I spoke highly of him in my report. I think he's going to be second team All-Pro, is showing why the Mel pick was fantastic by poking out the Ezreal Seraphine lane.
Yep, and we saw some of those early trades as well with the Reflect coming through. Aatrox starting to assert his dominance a little bit there. The CS has been fairly equal, maybe a little bit surprisingly to some extent, but Ornn did have that little tech there. If you notice his inventory, actually he does have the teleport down, so maybe he got an early recall and I missed it.
He did, yeah.
But obviously with the Ornn tech, if you don't know, as an Ornn main myself, you can start Doran's item or whatever, right? Or you start on refill potion, and then you wait in lane to buy whatever Doran's item you wish. So that way, instead of starting Doran's item one pot, you can get the refill and your item. And as long as, you don't take any super bad trades in the first, minute and a half or whatever as you're waiting for the minions to get there, you'll be pretty fine on your HP bar, and you just get a little bit of an advantage doing that. So for all you Ornn players out there, or wannabe Ornn players out there, put that into your notes, and you can use that in your solo queue games as well. But other than that, taking the wider look at the game again, nothing super crazy. Junglers have just done their full clearing. A little bit of a cheeky roam here from Orion just to put a little bit of pressure, but Zodiac will be able to farm up that wave nice and fine. CS numbers are just about even everywhere. And, again, just to point out a little bit more, it is a little bit more surprising in the top lane than anywhere else, just because you'd think that Aatrox could maybe have a little bit more pressure early on, but it's been some good stuff from Stubby as we see potential action here as they saw Pantheon onto the Gromp, but they're going to end up disengaging on that Scuttle Crab, not quite up yet, so it's going to be both sides just kind of jockeying for position right now. Scuttle has spawned.
Yeah,
the jockeying continues, and they'll just go rotate for the Scuttle Crab as Vel'Koz makes the move down. That should be enough to secure it for XSV.
Yeah, and if you look at the items, Udyr is going that AP build, so he's going to kind of move
Mm.
that zoning kind of duelist type of build, which is, I think, the right call based off what the team needs. I do think he needs to go a little bit tankier, just to be able to survive some of these team fights, because he's going to get kited to death. But if he can get ahead, I think he's going to be a menace heading into the mid game.
Well, you're looking at the damage output. That's the only thing that I would counter with is obviously, yeah, you need that kind of bruiserish still, but the only real AD source is the Smolder. Vel'Koz and Mel, to some extent, as the support, will be doing that AP damage. Ornn is like, if he's a tank, he's kind of mixed. He'll mostly do magic damage. But the Udyr, you'd be missing out on a little bit of that AD, but overall, in the grand scheme of the build, yeah, having that extra front line, the innate tankiness that some of those items give you, you'll probably better off going for that in this game than anything else.
Yeah,
But yeah,
like
it's just been pretty good, pretty chill so far. Xan, I'm sorry,
yes.
but how's your day been going? Like,
My day
we haven't
been
talked that much.
I know my day's been fantastic. It's Memorial Day tomorrow, so absolutely cannot complain. Look at these favorable trades by the Ornn here.
Yeah,
One level down.
it's been good stuff going up there in the top lane. He kind of seems to know the matchup maybe decently enough. Ornn is obviously going to be very safe. He went the Bramble Vest as well to kind of cut down on some of that early healing. It might not always be the best because at least when you're sitting on Bramble, it's based off of they have to auto attack you. It's not just like the Aatrox Q procs the Grievous Wounds either. So there's some debate about that if rushing Bramble, if you could rush something else, would be the best option. But he's more than holding his own up there. He's definitely had some nice trades with the Grass procs landing. Speaking of, again, some good poke coming down from Mel and Smolder. In this bot lane, Moon gonna launch the True Shot Barrage, taking Maddie down pretty low. It's actually gonna be first blood happening in the mid lane. We're gonna get the Grand Starfall coming in from Fiendish Feller. Gonna end up trading that kill, but it's gonna be first blood going the way of XSV Corn.
Yeah, really good trade. I mean, kudos to Sailor. We saw that kind of off screen, unfortunately, but he revisited the lane that he got the flash earlier, was able to continuously get this Ornn ahead, and he got the first blood. So we talked about how him being accelerated is part of their win condition. So now he's got first blood. He's in this AP build. He's got a CS lead. He's going to be a menace in the next 10 minutes.
The one trade, though, obviously with that happening, as we're seeing on screen, PTSD are going to have the Dragon priority, mostly due to what we were seeing in the bot lane with the True Shot Barrage coming out. Maddie got chunked very, very low. Mid lane and jungle had to take their own recalls and reset themselves respectively. So PTSD does at least get that back as a little bit of something in return. The first blood and the kill getting traded obviously slightly favors the first blood, no duh, but that dragon is going to be able to even that out a little bit. But on the other side of the map, it was Sailor taking the 3 Void Grubs as well, so definitely some tit for tat happening in the objective department. Sailor going to be making this gank mid lane, no flash on the Victor from the previous play, and it's going to be the Lifeform Disintegration Ray coming out to secure that kill. Another nice gank by Sailor. Stubby not going to be able to continue that trade on the Aatrox any further. Some really great early action coming out from Sailor. Now it's going to be something in the bot lane. Encore going to be coming out, not going to be able to find anything though. Maddie and Leventon are very, very safe. The cleanse was still up as well. Heal burned just to be sure, but overall positive signs for XSV.
Yeah, I like the idea by Orion there. You know, he baited out the Mel Deflect with the root, and then immediately sent the ult to try to make a play happen, but it's just not enough, right? Like, they can sidestep it. You only got the Meld in there, but if you don't get the Smolder as well, he's just going to pump damage back at you. So a whole lot of nothing happened, while also just a great gank onto mid lane, because Zodiac burned Flash to try to kill Vel'Koz earlier, and being flashless, that's a nightmare once you face Udyr.
And this is I wouldn't necessarily say maybe unique is too strong of a word, but having the 4 range bot lane is always very interesting because it doesn't lead to like the most action. Like the Seraphine clearly was trying to start something, but the Mel also offers this retort, as we're seeing on the screen right now with the Reflect as well, to counter that little bit of CC that the Seraphine does try to offer to start these trades. The Mel can just hand it right back at him. Smolder gets some free stacks coming from the root as well, and it just seems like a really nice setup for the Smolder to be able to feel very, very safe for the most part. We did see some good trades coming their way. It's not like they're ahead in CS. They are down, but they're holding their own pretty well for a Smolder who obviously just wants to be able to survive until later on, and a Mel who, not necessarily a traditional support, but clearly in this matchup specifically has her advantages with the Reflection.
Yeah, I mean, XSV is just playing their win cons beautifully, right? We talk about 20 minutes, they need to be within 5 kills. It's 11 minutes, and they're up 1.
Well, yeah,
They
they
are
have the
playing
lead now, which is crazy for us.
exactly. They're playing this beautifully, and maybe even Udyr's able to get a gank here, but he's on vision.
Yep, just going to clear out that ward. We're going to have the little bit of a standoff maybe here again, fighting over these control wards. If we're back around in the days of Prime LCS and whatever, we're cheering for the ward kills, baby. Let's go. They're going to be fighting over the Scuttle Crab now, as it looks like Sailor going to have to CC Immune out of there. Again, 4 people in the river, this time coming through from PTSD, will secure that Scuttle Crab. And Outset Yuki going to be caught out potentially here in the mid lane. Zodiac with the Proto Belt rush onto the Victor, going to be able to just dash out of trouble there, making sure Sailor can't collapse onto him. Some good trading out coming again from the top side, but these guys, they're going to be hacking at each other all game. That's what top lane's going to do. If we see a kill up there, that's going to just be gravy more than anything. As, excuse me, we're going to have Dragon coming up here in a minute and a half. It's going to be the Air Dragon coming through. Hopefully, I mean, at least for me, I love Hextech Soul. That's always my favorite. That is still going to be in play, as well as the Infernal and the Ocean, and then Chemtech, but I mean, Chemtech's better than it was before, but it's still not that cool.
And just to double check here, that counter on the top left of Smolder's icon, that's the stacks he's at, so he's at 89 right now. Oh, and here's a game.
Oh yeah, we're going to be seeing a fight here. Speaking of the Smolder, he's going to come out with Mom. Encore coming back the other side as well. It's going to be both supports traded out. Sailor shows up as well to counteract with the Grand Starfall.
Oh!
Taken very low, and it's going to be that Empowered Storm from that AP Udyr build, finding the decisive kill in that exchange, putting XSV in the advantage. Maddie flashing forward after tanking the tower shot. He will get traded away, but it's going to be still the advantage, a 3-for-2 in favor of XSV Corn there. Maybe some of that stuff at the end wasn't necessary, but it works out his way in the end.
Now, mind you, these are the top 2 junglers that I had in my preseason rankings, and they are both putting on a clinic. I mean, Alve, Pantheon, is getting a couple of cheap kills with his ult, I understand, but Sailor is just making Fiendish Feller look a tier below. He's just everywhere he needs to be. He's playing these team fights perfectly, and even though Fiendish Feller's 3-1, the 2-0-3 Udyr is just having so much more impact.
Yeah, and it's a lot easier, obviously, to the Pantheon, like, not trying to diminish anything that they're doing, but as you pointed out with the Grand Starfall, you can just join from just about anywhere on the map and just fly in. The Udyr doesn't quite have that same luxury, so it really does show just a little bit more, maybe some emphasis on being at the right spot at the right time to either start these plays or to be there to counteract them as well. It has been very good stuff from both junglers here through these opening 14 minutes of play. And to get to what I believe your question was, or whoever asked it, yes, on Smolder's icon, that is his stack number, and he's going to be adding to it here. Leventon's going to pick up the kill, but Smolder up to 115 just about stacks now. 14 minutes into this game, he's going to be on a very good pace, plus the 2,000 team-wide gold lead as well. XSV are feeling very, very comfortable, plus they're going to add this dragon into their back pocket.
Yeah, I think you just see the inexperience of Orion here, or at least just the lack of chemistry between him and Moon. Just because if you're the Seraphine into a Mel, you just can't be throwing your E willy-nilly. Like, I know you want to try to bait out the barrier, but once it does come back at you, that's their opening to just go all in. And when you don't have flash, you're gonna die, just as it happened just now. So I don't know. I feel like you just got to stop throwing out abilities. You're too far behind. Play for team fights, wait for something to happen first, and then look to use your ult as like a second or third engagement tool.
Yeah, but it's going to be hard because you don't blame the Seraphine for wanting to make some plays. But speaking of making plays, Zodiac going to end up trading the flashes out there with the Vel'Koz going very, very, very low. But he's going to be able to get out with his life, most importantly of all. But yes, speaking with the Seraphine, obviously in the bot lane, you're playing the double ranged matchup on both sides. It's never fun to just sit around and let stuff happen to you, which unfortunately for them might be happening now. But Sailor is going to be caught out here with Fiendish Feller on the side. Mom going to be coming out, traded by the Encore again, a double root. Plus, I believe that was the Charm reflected as well. Going to be a double kill going the side of XSV Corn. Oso with the TP flank, though, is going to be arriving. Ornn does not have it to match. Knockups coming through. through. Sailor has to run away. One more auto attack would do it, but Victor doesn't have the flash from the exchange in mid lane. Sailor's going to be able to get out. Still going to be a positive trade there. I believe it was in the favor of XSV Corn with both of those bot laners dying. The Smolder gets traded back, but Ornn, don't forget, chilling top lane, getting a couple of tower plates if he's lucky. It looks like he did get... Oh, he's got the Void Grubs too, so it doesn't matter if he has Demolish or not, but it does look like he does. He might get that whole tower with the Demolish and the Void Grubs. He can probably stay in that if he wants to. You could tell he wanted to, but as soon as he saw the Ezreal there, he ends up backing off. But a net positive play overall. The kills going the way of XSV. Tower plates going their way in the solo lanes as well, based off of the teleport and the roam. And Oso, speaking of that teleport, sticks around just a little bit too long, trying to greed for some tower plate gold back of his own. He's going to end up falling to Maddie, up to 3 kills now on this Smolder, most in the game, along with Pantheon and his support.
It's just tragedy. I mean, if you're PTSD, or more so if you're Oso, I love the TP play bot lane, but you gotta kill Udyr there. That shutdown is just a piggy bank waiting to be collected. The fact that he lived with 1 HP and then subsequently was able to kill Oso on the comeback, unfortunate. It's just, Tom, I hope you're taking notes. You got a lot of work to do in game 2 because it's not looking great for game 1.
And you pointed it out from the draft. They gave Maddie the Smolder. It's not like he's had anything super flashy happening yet, but he has just been able to withstand some of that early poke we saw coming out from the Seraphine, especially when the Mel obviously doesn't have the Reflect. Withstanding that, withstanded a couple of True Shot barrages, went down in that last exchange, sure, but the CS is dead even. He's got the 3 kills. He's up 1.3k gold. He just took the bot lane tower, and meanwhile, as that happens, all of the outer towers have fallen as well. This gold lead has ballooned up to 4,000 here as we approach the 18-minute mark. It's going to be a Hextech Dragon as well for the soul, so I love that. Let's go. I love the Hex Gates. It adds such a fun dynamic to the game in terms of being able to get around the map, create some unique playmaking opportunities with being able to utilize that. Could be useful for maybe like the Aatrox or the Pantheon if they don't have the best angle, try to get a cheeky flank off, but it's going to be a very tough position for PTSD to come back from. Smolder is on his 2 items. Ornn's got his upgraded item coming through on the Unending Despair. Vel'Koz surely isn't far off from his 2nd item as well, but it is that power point in the bot lane with the Smolder and the Mel, hopefully for XSV still scaling into infinity.
Yeah, it's just a lot of great things happening on the XSV side, and I just kind of want to speak really briefly about how to play Seraphine, like post level 6 in lane, because pre-6, yeah, you want to use your Q, you want to use your E to poke, get some damage off, but if you're going a support build the way he's going, you gotta stop throwing abilities. Just hold down to empowered W, wait for them to blow some abilities, pop your W and run at them. That is the way you want to be playing Seraphine at kind of the highest level, but again, you saw what happens when you just throw out abilities willy-nilly. The Mel's going to deflect it, and then you get run down as a result. So, just some misplays at the micro level.
Yeah, and as you said too earlier, could just be, maybe it's some inexperience from the player, but it could just be, yeah, like a synergistic thing. Orion is the substitute support, and again, not rank shaming here, but last I saw they were Plat 1, the starting support is normally Diamond 3. That is a meaningful skill difference there, as we're going to see the fight break out mid lane. The Reflect barely hits that. It looked like Mel was a little behind there, but it got through. It ends up working out that way, and Orion, speaking of, unfortunately falls to 0-4 now, looking for a potential play right there. It does not come through. Zodiac being pushed out of the jungle as XSV try to make a play onto the mid lane inner tower. PTSD, on the other hand, trying to see if they can get anything back in the top lane. Aatrox is up 600 gold, I guess. Good for him. They ended up using the Rift Herald up there, it looked like. But that's going to be all but one of those final mid plates going down. Maddie does have to be careful. Zodiac puts a lot of damage down. Going to force the flash out of the Smolder. That will be pivotal, potentially coming into a dragon fight here to determine who gets the advantage going into the soul point fight eventually, assuming that XSV don't continue running away with this one.
Yeah, I mean, they just snuck Dragon there, so fortunately, Maddie didn't get burned too hard. Being out of position there, he does burn his flash, so, there is a 5-minute window where PTSD could look to take a 5v5, kill Maddie early, and then suddenly the team fight looks pretty good on your end. But again, the Vel'Koz is fed, the Udyr is a monster, Mel is even pumping out damage. What can you do?
Yeah, and here come those Vel'Koz and Udyr. It's going to be a teleport coming through from Oso again. Leventon is in the area, the knock-up. Gonna keep the Aatrox at bay, and looks like that play is gonna fizzle out just as quickly as we saw the angle. Teleport wasted for the Aatrox there, all thanks to just a little void knock-up coming through from the big tentacle creature in the mid lane. And we're just gonna be now waiting for the next part of this to develop. Again, it has really just been most of XSV. I want to say, obviously, again, PTSD coming into this were the unanimous overall favorite, but they have the substitute support currently. Do you think that, considering, you know, the caliber of player that you still, again, on paper would see rank wise, obviously the history that Syndicate has being the defending champions org wise, this is an all new roster from last season, but how surprised are you, again, obviously considering it too, we both did predict XSV to win. Did you expect it to look like this bad for Syndicate right at the start?
No, definitely not. I mean, I you know, don't want to harp too much on Orion because I don't think it's their fault necessarily for why this game's going poorly. It's more so just, I guess, inexperience facing a Mel as Seraphine. But mechanically, they're landing skill shots, they're doing their best here. But at the same time, it's kind of across the board. People are not making the right decisions. Aatrox shouldn't have lost the Flash early on. Then he died shortly after TPing bot lane. Pantheon, you got to be turbo ganking if you're playing that champion because you're just going to fall behind as they are right now. Victor was actually holding his own really well, but then again, burned your flash to get a kill, which was great. You got a kill, but then you get ganked right after. So it's just a lot of mistakes, not really covering for each other when someone's flash is down, and it kind of, all of that adds up to the macro deficit in the long term.
And we just saw Victor die up there in the top lane as well. And even in the bot lane, looking at this Ornn and the Aatrox, we're getting to that point in the game now where the Ornn, especially with an upgraded Unending Despair, excuse me for a second here, especially with the Unending Despair coming through with the upgrade, we're seeing the trades go in his favor now. Watching the grass proc with the Bellows Breath, that Aatrox really is hurting in some of those short exchanges. The ultimate, the World Ender, got baited out by him as well, maybe thinking that Stubby was going to E in onto his pillar. Instead, he dashed away very smartly there as well, just to make sure that, hey, I know I don't win the all-in quite yet at this point, even with some of these good trades I've been getting. They've been playing very, very well, and even some of these, you know, again, lesser ranked players, we've been seeing them step up, at least in some of these smaller engagements. There hasn't been, I mean, in all honesty, no super huge team fights yet. There's been those couple of plays in the bot lane with the teleports and whatnot, but we still haven't seen like the super massive traditional team fight yet. Maybe it'll be happening here as they're positioning around this Baron, XSV trying to get some wards down, get into that jungle, make sure that they feel comfortable, while these top laners both don't have teleport. Although, of course, XSV should, you would expect, have the damage to go through with a Smolder who just now has his stacks. But why go for the Baron? Why try to flip it 4v4 when you can hopefully get a free kill in the top lane here? It's going to be the Grand Starfall coming out again from Fiendish Valley, but Zodiac is going to be burning down to that Phoenix Storm. Mel has the ultimate to illuminate the lies of Zodiac and take him down. Pantheon shortly falls after, and that should be more than enough, especially with the Vel'Koz most likely coming back to teleport if they need to. That'll be a Baron going the way of XSV.
I just don't love the builds either. I mean, if you're Victor, why are we going Proto Belt first? I mean, that might be part of his build path in some situations, but this is not the one. You know, they don't really have a lot of gap close. You know, Udyr's going to run at you, but you should be able to kind of be able to play around that. Other than that, who's coming straight at you that you need the Proto Belt to get, you know, either gap close or get away? Ezreal went Mana Moon, obviously that makes sense, but that's a scaling item. So a team that you want to beat early, we picked items that scale later or are weak early game. So it's just a overall lack of the game plan from the get-go, and it's just overall contributing to their massive 6-goal deficit.
Yeah, I think even going back to the draft, I didn't end up saying it, but I was thinking when I was seeing, like, you know, the Aatrox and the Pantheon come out in the back end of PTSD's draft, it's like, it is nice in the sense that you have a clear lane that you can play through for the early game, but they didn't really end up doing that. So especially when that doesn't happen, it's just really kind of off with the rest of your team comp and what they want to do. The entire first round of that draft was just, oh my god, Smolder and Mel, they're scaling, and Ornn, they're scaling. Ezreal, Seraphine, very safe. Victor going to be scaling up as well. The Seraphine does not have a lot of opportunities to scale, though, when she's been under pressure as much as she and the rest of her team have been through the entirety of this game. It is XSV running through the map, cleaning up these free kills. Maddie has the stack threshold. You saw it on the health bar. He's got the Rhea items as well with that Infinity Edge being completed, coming up for this fight. They have the Baron. No soul yet, obviously. They just took that third dragon. But they're in a pretty fine spot here. They're not going to be able to end the game. It should be an inhibitor take, though, unless Stubby finds a pick on the move. Arcane Shift finally comes through now. Mom out over the top. Stubby taken pretty low. Now Maddie has to drop the tower aggro, flap away. The Reflect on the True Shot barrage keeps Ornn alive. One of many nice reflects we've seen from Leventon this game on that Mel support. 4, 1, and 6. Not only doing it just on the screen visually, but the KDA matches up to the gameplay as well. Very, very clean stuff coming through. And not even going to get the inhibitor, unfortunately, due to some of that trading there, but they get the tower, they have it opened up. They still have Baron for about 40 seconds there, as you can see in the top left of their screen. They're still going to want to posture around this mid lane as a flank TP comes through on the back side there. It's going to be Ornn calling the Forge God out. He's going to hit the ram onto one. It's going to be the flash coming away from Moon, but Seraphine has no such luck to be able to get out of there. Oso going in as Zodiac gets knocked up and deleted on the backside. Everybody is falling. The scaling happened way faster than we even thought it would. It's not even going to take 30 minutes like I was thinking. Much more in line with what you were saying, Xanazurge, but the scaling doesn't matter. They were ahead the entire game, believe it or not, with this team comp. There's the final kill coming through. Maddie falls at the end, a little hit to his KDA, but just over 28 minutes into this one, an absolute thrashing of PTSD. The org defending champions go down in game 1 here to XSV Corn.
Honestly, I hope that was a humbling defeat, because again, you don't give Maddie Smolder. I'm not even saying Maddie was the MVP of that game. To me, it was Leviton on the Mel, just because of the timely deflects, the early advantages, being able to keep up in lane versus Ezreal and Seraphine. And if you noticed, Ornn upgraded Mel second. That is just
why not?
just to show you how much of an impact the Mel was putting in that game. So kudos to Leviton for, in my opinion, the MVP, but a massive thrashing in the first game of the Grand Prix.
Yeah, I'd agree with you there. Sailor was very good too, keeping that KDA perfect 4-0 and 12 as you're seeing on the screen right now. But yeah, absolutely makes sense to upgrade the Mel when she's been dealing that much damage, has had that much of an impact on the game. You can see it in the charts. The Mel out-damaged, I mean, the Pantheon, sure, but she outdamaged the enemy bot lane combined. That's 12k damage on the Ezreal and the Seraphine, just over 12k for Mel. So very, very impressive stuff. Again, just from the whole team. We can talk about, again, yeah, there's a sub support, but this is still the preseason power ranked first team. There are a lot of other players that should be able to step up and maybe take a little bit of a load off. Maybe they were trying to, again, that's what the top lane idea was, pick an Aatrox and a Pantheon. They couldn't bully the Ornn. The bot lane was winning, but we didn't really get to see them go for too many dives, and even the plays that did happen bot lane early, they were still going in XSV's favor with both junglers being there. So I think definitely a big surprise, especially if you look at I don't think that gold score is real. But it was a big gold gap regardless. That's the damage gap. My bad. Sorry. Yeah, we're on the damage screen, so that's the damage. But very impressive game coming through here from XSV Corn against PTSD. We'll be taking a quick break here. Oh, actually, no, we're in draft. Look at that. We're in draft already, guys. No breaks here. Hello, how's it going again? Again, Fearless. So we're seeing those first game bans on your screen right there. They will not be able to be picked. And then it looks like they have swapped sides. So PTSD ends up shifting to the blue side here, XSV onto the red. But pretty similar bans coming through, the Viego and the Gangplank being banned away for PTSD's top laner there. That is their most played, along with the Renekton for Oso, and then the Viego as well being taken away for Fiendish Feller, and then the Wukong and the Nico as well. So we're obviously going to be seeing some more interesting picks come through here. There's going to be, again, a little bit more of a pushing down deeper into the champion pools, but I'm very intrigued to see how both of these teams can react, because XSV, technically an upset, yes, but they're obviously going to be feeling very confident after that. You have to wonder how PTSD will be doing.
Is that really a karma first pick angle? I don't think that champion is super powerful that you kind of need to first pick that.
Yeah, it's a safe pick, but it's about it, at least for now. We'll see what they pair it with.
Yeah, I mean, this is a chance for XSV. Obviously, they're looking to go for another run at your face bot lane. And Caitlyn might even be a Lux here just to ensure that they kind of have that uh, early game pressure play around bot side, which is, on paper, PTSD's win condition. So don't love kind of the veganness of the draft so far, but yeah.
Yeah, Caitlyn coming out for XSV is, a priority pick. It's actually a priority pick for both teams, both Maddie and Moon on their OPGG. Caitlyn is their most played. So that is a highly contested pick that XSV gets the advantage of, and they are going to pair it with the Lux, so a very classic, annoying bot lane to deal with. We'll see how PTSD would want to respond with that, with the Karma being selected already. Taking a look at Maddie's pool, again, we kind of know about the Smolder. That's out of the way now. Could be something, I was going to say like Kaisa if you want to be more aggressive, but Varus makes a ton of sense, assuming that, especially if it's the poke variation, makes some sense. You can really play your distance, not be too bullied by the range coming out from the Caitlyn and the Lux. If you're on hit, you're going to be a little more sad just because you have to get up close and personal more, but we'll end up seeing how they want to go. I would guess the poke variant, at least for right now. Jarvan is the jungle selected for PTSD. Very safe pick there. Everybody knows and loves Jarvan. But Lee Sin coming out for Sailor. That is going to be a very stylish pick. Again, if we were talking about draft things before, kind of not on the same theme maybe as what a Caitlyn and a Lux would want to do, but you got your top player, one of only 3 D1 players in the league. If you're going to have anyone pick Lee Sin, it would be Sailor.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's exactly what they want to do in terms of jungle bot lane synergy. It is, I'm Caitlyn Lux. I'm going to keep you at your tower the entire game. My Lee Sin's going to invade you. We're going to roam in and completely negate one half of the map, and that's going to be the bot half of the map. So dragon control, you don't get a red side. It is just, that is the name of the game if you're XSV. And PTSD, they're kind of faltering in the draft. I don't love the Karma pick. The Jarvan is going to be okay, but he's not going to have the damage to one-shot someone, and he's just going to be a sitting duck once he kind of ults into somebody.
Yeah, the one, at least, decent thing about the Jarvan Lux, obviously not mobile, so it'll be easy to lock her down if you can land that EQ on her in the first place. Caitlyn does have the net, so she can maybe get out of a Cataclysm potentially, but you're still going to have to be careful. You don't want to get some chain CC going in with a Varus ult into some Jarvan combos, and of course we'll see how they want to round out the rest of the draft as well, coming through for their top laner and their mid laner. I will say too, again, for XSV Corn, when I look at least at the solo queue pages for these players, there's not a ton of games on them. But funnily enough, for the top laner, Stubby, who we saw on Ornn last game, their most played top laner on their OPGG is Zillion. So that would be something that I wouldn't expect necessarily in this game, maybe, considering we've seen a Caitlyn and a Lux already. It's a pretty squishy team comp. But I would be on the lookout for eventually some weird picks. There's the Zillion set. Yuki loves playing Morgana as the most played, again, according to their OPGG, a little bit more of a non-traditional mid laner overall in the grand scheme of things. But it's going to be Poppy coming through for XSV in that top lane, a much more normal top laner than Zillion, I'll say. Mbessa and Gwen being banned away, and then Sion and Malphite by PTSD. So they were trying to get him off of some of those just very easy to play play champions, just tank and lose gracefully and do your thing. They still get him on Poppy though. That'll be pretty fine, especially if the only thing she has to worry about for using her steadfast presence on her W is a Jarvan. Very, very telegraphed. Just press that button when you see that flag go down and you'll be fine.
I love the Poppy pick. I think if XSV has a coach, they're doing a phenomenal job in draft. If the players doing themselves, well played, because the Jarvan is kind of negated by the Poppy, at least in the initial engage. And then it also provides spacing, right? Like when you come to engagement fights, Poppy ults someone a mile away, and then you go for the 5v4. It is just always a winning recipe. And then the Galio for the macro installment. PTSD, again, I think this game has a bit of a weaker draft on paper. They don't really have that huge front line. Jarvan can only tank so much. Rumble gives you a little bit of spacing. To me, it comes down to the karma. You need to go a complete shield focused build to give you that RE kind of initial burst tankiness. Because if you go for more of a damage oriented build, you're trolling the game away. You might as well take the O2 loss right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna be intrigued to watch as to like who really wants to play on the front foot. Because as you said, there is not a lot of hard engage from PTSD. There's not even a lot of hard engage from XSV. Like you're really just hoping that you get either a Lux Binding, which is a skill shot. You know, it's not the hardest skill shot to land, but it is a skill shot. Or Poppy wall slamming someone and then Galio following up, or Galio has to take that initiative and find a very well timed EW combo with the taunt. But both sides, again, at least how I look at it, it's both junglers just having to play, you know, either with the Jarvan or the Lee Sin and the Poppy to try to find those fights to start off with. But they kind of just want to play reactively. Like Karma and Orianna, it's a lot of shielding. It makes me think that maybe it is going to be a more on-hit Varus because you can soup him up more and make him more mobile in the fights than just a poke Varus. But again, then you're kind of dealing with that weird thing of I don't want to get too close to Caitlyn Lux, especially, you know, Galio taunting me if I get in range of a Lee Sin Q, maybe an insect combo. Like that's something dangerous. Both XSV2, again, the engage isn't super clear. Poppy's more disengaged, you know, if the Jarvan gets on to you, you boot him out, and then it's a pretty clean fight. Caitlyn and Lux want to play at their range. And Galio, again, like, hey, if Jarvan gets on, maybe you boot him out, and then Galio can ult on the person who's getting dove on if you can't do that for whatever reason. But I'm going to be very interested as to see who really wants to have the initiative to start these fights, who's going to be playing on that front foot. Maybe if it's going like how you said in the bot lane, it might be down there. It might just be the Lee Sin trying to take that prio, run things through there. And it, in theory, could be free dives with a Galio ult on top of all three of those members in a potential bot lane play.
Yeah, I mean, if you're PTSD, your win con is sacking the first two Drakes because you know you're not going to have a bot side and play for your Rumble. You can get the Rumble ahead. That's your long range engage. There's your early damage, and it gives you an opportunity to start, you know, being able to walk into some of these team fights because otherwise, if you don't have vision control, Lux Binding from a brush, Caitlyn traps, Poppy slamming you into a wall, Galio coming from out of nowhere. Anything is possible, and you got to be able to have an advantage elsewhere to be able to start walking into these dragon fights.
Definitely a lot of dynamics at play here. We'll have to see how it all unfolds, but we'll take a quick break as we wait for the spectator delay to go through, and we'll be back with you for Game 2. It's XSV Corn up 1-0 over post-traumatic sin disorder. We'll be right back. Hello, everybody. Welcome back here. We are live with game two between PTSD now on the blue side and XSV Corn on the red. Again, if you missed Game one, XSV Corn surprisingly had the more scaling draft. That's not necessarily surprising, but it's the fact that they were ahead for basically the entirety of that game and closed it out very, very convincingly here. So now we are going to be seeing in game two, can post-traumatic sin disorder come back and force this to that all pivotal game three. I am Steven Meister, along with me, the wonderful Xanazurge. Seems like
Yeah,
some heavy trading coming out in the bot lane already. How you looking about for this one?
yeah. I mean, the level 1 is where you want to win if you're this Varus Karma bot lane, especially when you have the empowered RQ. And it looks like they're winning the early trades, but of course, both champions are going to have 2 health pots. Once you get to levels 3 and beyond, I feel like it is just a winning matchup for the Kate Lux. As you can see, just by the 2 auto attacks that she was able to trade to the 1. That's the main advantage of that lane.
Caitlyn started with the Doran's bow. I'll say openly, I'm not proficient enough with a lot of these new items, especially the 80 carry ones. I know that the main difference is that the bow doesn't offer you health, whereas the Doran's blade obviously does. Does that feel like the right starting choice here, you think, with the Doran's bow on Caitlyn, or should she have gone something more standard like the blade?
No, I think the bow is absolutely perfect. I think, what does it get, 15% attack speed? And when you're someone who wants to outrange somebody and can outrange somebody as much as Caitlyn can, you just want to keep getting as much auto attacks in. And you just saw there, she had 2 autos to the Varus's 1. If she had empowered headshot, it would have been an even better trade. So you want the attack speed. I think it's the right move.
Yeah, and I think it gives you some extra Omnivamp too. I hope I'm not confusing that. I think it gives you a little more than Doran's Blade does. So definitely, of course, some trade-offs as always, but I like seeing these new items being used. The bow, we saw the Doran's helm in top lane as well with the Ornn, as I was talking about back in that game. Definitely some cool additions coming through for this season. But yeah, so far, we're definitely, again, emphasizing some heavy trading in both side lanes so far. We're finally getting a pan into mid lane as well. But it's just been good CSing coming through. The Poppy actually has the priority into the top lane here early on in this stage of the game, which is a little bit surprising. Rumble being more known as that lane bully, especially early on, but Poppy has some unique shoving capabilities as well, with her Q providing some good AoE damage, and of course the shield on her passive, her empowered auto attack to help supply some good trades. So Poppy's holding her own up there pretty well. Don't expect too much out of the mid lane either, probably. Orianna going to be very, very chill, and that Galio is going to be hard to take down, of course, loving those matchups into the AP champion. So we'll probably see, again, some good health bars being ticked down, but not too much real action. Fiendish Feller, though, tried to play me a fool right there, went for a cheeky lane gank, but just coming up short to find that knockup onto Set Yuki. We're seeing this action now come through here in the bot lane. Sailor didn't want to go in initially at first, probably didn't like the setup, and now just ends up kind of fizzling out there. So a couple of potential plays from both junglers here in the early going, but nothing really to show for it, other than, again, some low health bars coming through from these normal trades that we're seeing.
Yeah, I think some just a little bit of jitters in that play on Leviton's part, because you always want to kind of flash. If you're going to make the flash play, throw your E out there, because it's pretty hard to miss the slow once you're that close range. And then once they're, have the impaired movement, then throw out your root. But, kind of did it backwards, wasted flash for essentially nothing. But it's kind of a little bit what we talked about.
Ooh, that was a nice little play in the mid lane with the EQ flash. It doesn't end up in a kill, it's just going to end up being a trade, so looked cool. No real super impactful results, though. Flash going to be coming out from Oso as well in the top lane, so we're finally seeing the junglers starting to pick up. Summoners are being traded, but now it's going to be more action here in the bot lane. Heal blown from Leventon. Looks like that'll be enough for them to get out of there, as well as the barrier from Varus. So a very impactful, very hectic about 30 seconds right there. Summoners being used across the entirety of the map. Sailor going to land the resonating strike under the tower. Oso, maybe with a little bit of disrespect, thinking that his shield would be enough to stay alive, but it was not enough. Sailor almost is gonna die, but Stubby gets to the wall to let him safeguard on top of him. Now they're gonna try to bait in with the kill as well. Back onto Fiendish Feller, the safeguard back up. Not quite enough to keep Sailor alive, but still is gonna be the kill going the way of Stubby. 2 for 1 for XSV Corn. We see Oso with the flank TP as well to that bush, to the ward in the bush, excuse me, by Stubby's tower, but he's gonna be able to make his exit It went from 0 to 100 real quick here, Xanazurge. 2-1 in the favor of XSV.
I talked about it in my report. A big pillar for XSV is going to be the synergy between Sailor and Stubby, because if they don't have it, it needs to be play around bot. But that play just now, Poppy flashing to give Lee Sin the W, their
That was
synergy
insane.
is locked in early. XSV is firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, and it's going to be, again, just continuing to see these advantages now. Just continue pushing them forward. It is a little bit unfortunate for Stubby, not even because of the death, but Oso was able to just get some XP with the teleport back and then forcing Stubby away from the lane. He does have a slight advantage in that department. He also does have a full component completed with the Faded Ashes, as Moon gets chunked very low. Gonna have to dodge the binding, doesn't do it though. Maybe thought that they were safe. He was gonna have to come out from Orion to try to keep them alive, as well as the flash. A little bit of some bad positioning there coming through from Moon, ends up getting rooted. Orion has to blow both summoners now to get out of their position being too far front up as well. So it is all XSV, even in just these early stages of some of these trades and the very early jungle ganks and skirmishes. We're seeing the Lee Sin have impact. He's sitting in that alcove bush. Don't tell PTSD. He's waiting to see if they'll walk up. Light binding just barely gonna miss. Oh, they got. I think they spotted him there. I don't know if they were just pinging the control ward going down, because he did show out of that alcove. We'll see. It doesn't look like they're playing like they saw him. Resonating strike just gonna miss. Now they're aware he's there. They're gonna have to take that little, I guess, not even quite a trade, but the wasting of Sailor's time. Doesn't get anything into the bot lane, but they'll be able to convert that into a very easy Ocean Dragon here to just, again, make sure that they're keeping the tempo up as much as possible with this early game. Champion wants to take advantage of that aggression.
Yeah, and this game's playing out a lot that we anticipated. The Kate Lux is winning the lane post level 3, and Jarvan is going to essentially have to play topside, because Lee Sin is just going to be living bot lane with that advantage, and he's just not going to have a bot side jungle. So they're splitting the map. First two jungles are going to be XSVs, and PTSD is just going to have to play around this Rumble advantage, even though he's down 200 gold.
Yeah, and it's still very viable to play up there in the top lane. There's nothing really too bad about it yet, but it's going to be a huge trade coming through here. Leventon, right as Moon comes back. That burst damage is insane. Maddie is very low. They don't know that Jarvan's there. Gonna get the flash away, but the Cataclysm, you can't flash that damage. Maddie is going to fall, and Leventon surely will here as well. The flash is coming up in 6 seconds, but not enough time will go by for that to happen. Fiendish Feller gets that second EQ down and picks up a couple of kills of their own. So they're finding that play now in the bot lane. It's 3 kills on this Jarvan. They have the gold lead on the Lee Sin now as well. Trade on the top side at least. Again, Void Grubs have been taken from XSV. The objectives have gone their way. That initial early action was going their way, but now Jarvan has given them something to cling on to for PTSD.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very similar story to last game. Fiendish Feller going early 3-1, but he kind of fell off into irrelevancy as soon as Sailor got accelerated. Let's see if it's going to be a different script this time around, but Sailor is invading, feels absolutely no sense of danger, and meanwhile Jarvan's on the other side of the map, so they're just trying to avoid each other at this point.
Yeah, gonna be, again, maybe some action here. Zodiac doesn't want to commit the Shockwave, probably the right decision right there. Not going to be able to get Galio too much lower than that. It was an insane sequence, though, in the bot lane, with Moon getting basically deleted 100-0 right there from all those full combos coming out. It could happen here again. The final spark with the ace in the hole as well. It's going to be going the way of Leventon there. Perfect timing for us on the cast. Horrible timing for Moon.
Yeah.
I'm not going to call a caster curse right there or anything, but it's going to be now, again, another good response coming through from Fiendish Feller. It's going to be another teleport from Oso like we saw in last game as well. Maddie going to drop the Yordle Snap Trap to try to keep that Rumble away, and it will land very, very crucially. No equalizer, but it will prevent any sort of rundown with the flash. Sailor now trying to come in as well, gonna land the Dragon's Rage, ward hops into position to get that
Oh my
resonating
God.
strike as well for the double kill. Safeguard away back to Maddie. The teammates of Sailor are just as important as what he is doing right now, because he has gone for a couple of these risky plays, first in the top side and now in the bot side. Here he does it even better though, doubles the amount of kills that he got from before, but still has that ally there to make sure he can get out with his life.
Yeah, I don't know if Moon has kind of got the first game jitters, but for someone who is Turn Up Tom's protege, just a lot of uncharacteristic mistakes. Like, you don't ever turn her back into there, even if you're or Oriana says, hey, we could play this. You gotta play to dodge the Lee Sin Q, but instead you're right in his face. It's an easy one to hit, and now you just give a free kill over to their best player.
It's 3-1 and now, 3-1 and 1 now, excuse me, onto that Lee Sin, as we saw Jarvan 3-1 and 0 not long before this point in time. Seeing both of them on our screen now, fighting right over that Raptor campsite. Yuki has the first move, didn't want to pop the ultimate, because they're right there. They don't have to use that grand entrance to get in there. It's going to be another kill going the way of Sailor, maybe Fiendish Feller, just getting a little bit too greedy, thinking maybe he could contest that Raptor camp. Especially even if Galio didn't have the first move, he could have grand entranced if that was necessary. But he was right there with the wave state, and it was very free pickings for Sailor and him. Sailor, though, does get pushed off of that blue buff.
Yeah, and 11 minutes in, we see a 1k gold lead, which doesn't seem too massive for XSV, but 4 out of the 5 laners have a gold advantage, and Lee Sin is basically only 5 gold behind. So it is looking pretty comfortable if you're XSV. They're going to keep stacking dragons. At some point, PTSD is going to have to take a massive 5v5 and got to hit all their win conditions.
Yeah, and if you're XSV right now is the time to make sure you're fighting at this dragon. Your Caitlyn has Stormrazor, Varus doesn't have the first full item yet. Eclipse is done on both junglers, but Stubby has that Hollow Radiance. Also, I was going to say doesn't have it, he's recalling right now, so maybe, just maybe now, he would have that Liandry's completed if they wanted to go around that dragon. Dragon is up though, the bot lane is in position, it looks like they're hitting it on the minimap, so I'm fully expecting that to be the case, and it should just be, again, a clean take with the item advantage, especially if you're PTSD, you're not wanting to get super close to that, especially considering Jarvan, he's taken the enemy red buff up there on the top side. So it'll be red buff for Dragon. I'd say that's a W trade coming out for XSV, and PTSD does have to be a little careful here. They were kind of sticking around, looking to poke when it wasn't necessary, and Sailor is going to pick up that free ward hop. Dragon's Rage Light Binding is going to miss. Maddie does have the range. They end up committing the flash, which is a little bit sloppy. They definitely didn't need to do that. If you're Maddie, you had the final spark coming through. Probably even just the auto attack, I think, from Lee Sin. Maybe I thought he was ward hopping in there as well. But that's just, that's minor semantics at this point when considering you get the kill and the dragon on top of it, when Orion and Moon, to be fair, both should not have been there. But Orion's the one who falls.
I mean, it's these little micro MVP plays that XFV's doing, right? Where Stubby flash to save Lee Sin, and then just now Lee Sin saved Caitlyn with a timely W. And he could have just been in Varus' face and maybe gotten a kill, but instead he opted to save Caitlyn, which worked out, trying to just not give any type of gold over to PTSD.
And it doesn't look like they're going to be getting much at this point in the game. Again, overall, it's still only a 1,000 gold lead. But at this point, again, the margins are just going to be so slim when you're talking pre-15, even pre-20 minutes, unless someone is really, really rolling. Orion is going to be in a little bit of trouble, but they're going to have the W to be able to lock down Sailor for the moment. Resonating Strike over the wall, try to maybe catch out Moon on a rotate. Maybe they spotted them on a ward coming through, not going to happen, but now it's going to be a good old-fashioned red buff standoff. Sailor wants it, Fiendish Feller wants it. Who's going to get it? It's going to go the way of Sailor, and now we're going into an all-out brawl. That's going to be Fiendish Feller getting rooted by the Yordle Snap Trap, but so does Lee Sin. The grand entrance going to come down. Fiendish Feller had to EQ flash to get out of there. Looks like he will be able to complete his recall. We're fighting over a red buff at 14.5 minutes here, and it's going to be XSV. Not finding any kills, but they get that red buff. Moon, though, after Maddie, I believe he hex netted over the wall, ends up finding that play onto Moon. So, speak of the devil, he shall appear. It's going to be another kill going for arguably the best AD carry in the league, Maddie, finding it onto Turnip Tom's protege Moon.
I mean, I like the aggression by Moon to try to make something happen, but you're just not going to have a lot happening with the Karma, who at best is going to press E and run away at that point. So, again, I don't love the draft from PTSD, but we have a TP play by...
Yeah, flank teleport came in from Oso there on the mini-map. Gonna end up maybe getting the kill onto Maddie. Not even. The burn is not enough. Maybe it's the Omnivamp from the Thorin's Bow. The red buff healing as well, just barely keeps that Caitlyn alive, sitting at 3, 1, and 3. I want to give credit to Oso. They've had some really nice ideas with the flank teleports. We've seen multiple of them throughout this series, and sometimes they've gone well. That one was just a little bit unfortunate. At best, it would have been a 1-for-1, and they didn't even get that.
Absolutely. I mean, solid look. If you would have got the Caitlyn TP or shutdown, it would have been decent. But, I mean, if I'm Turnip Tom, what am I doing? Am I Arthur fisting or am I face palming? Because either way, the team is not playing to how he expected.
Yeah, again, even just something like this, like Fiendish Feller probably thinks that they can take this Poppy 1v1, try to force him off the tower. But here comes Leventon trying to keep them alive. Sailor on the flank as well comes through PTSD's tower. Fiendish Feller and Stubby are low, but it just seems like that no matter what happens, XSV are just one step ahead. They just have the extra man there. They might have that extra half of an item advantage to give them just enough of the ability to survive a player, to pull off a kill. Nothing is going the way of PTSD for either of these first two games. The objectives are going all for XSV. I think at least the last game PTSD got an early dragon, but it's both early dragons going the way of XSV. It's the Grubs, and now it's the Rift Herald dragon up in 40 seconds again as well. Caitlyn's going to be really close, it looks like, maybe to her IE, depending on how much gold she has in the inventory. She's sitting on the BF sword and the pickaxe. Soul Point at, we'll say 18 and a half minutes into this game could be cause for a very quick end.
Yeah, Steve. I mean, I don't even know what it is at this point. Like, I can't say that it's the support substitute because it's across the board. Everyone is underperforming. Everyone's struggling. Again, I kind of call question to the builds. I don't love Blackfire Torch on the Orianna where you kind of want to go for that burst. I don't love the Yomus on the Varus. It's just, what are we doing? The Moonstone Renewer is also not great on Karma. I would love to see an Ardent Sensor. Just across the board, just from either draft to itemization to decision making, it is just complete deficiency for PTSD.
Yeah, and even something as little as, right, like Poke Varus versus on-hit Varus, as I was thinking about and debating about in the draft, as the third dragon does go down there for XSV off screen. I was thinking, it's like, obviously Poke Varus is maybe more, something you see might see more of nowadays. Sailor's actually Sailor got a little bit too greedy right there. I don't know if he forgot he had the Rift Herald, or if he was trying to go for a cheeky setup there, but he ends up getting stuck in the Rift Herald animation and then chain CC'd by Moon with the Change of Corruption. For a kill going their way, Moon has to flash out of that E from Lux. Oh, that's a great flank from Fiendish Feller. Finds the EQ, gonna force the summoner spells out of both bot laners and picks up a kill as a result of it. So a little bit of maybe a mental lapse here. Fiendish Feller tried to go for the flash EQ, didn't quite go through the way he intended it to. But again, maybe a little bit of a mental lapse. Sailor getting caught behind the play. Now Maddie gets caught mid lane. Fiendish Feller does have to be a little bit careful as Galio enters with the grand entrance. 4v1 though. That's going to be the shockwave landing. Oso's overheated with the flame spitter and those auto attacks. Galio doesn't quite have enough MR even to deal with that. Zodiac, though, is going to get traded away here from Sailor. The final spark going to kind of split the middle right there, but he still lands the Dragon's Rage point and click for the double kill. Maybe make it a triple right here, and that's what I was talking about earlier. Poppy has one option with that steadfast presence. Press it when Jarvan is looking to go in, or in this case, out. What just happened? It looks like PTSD might find a way back in, and now they're going a little bit too far themselves, just as Sailor was doing, and now XSV, still not as big a gold lead as before, but still find their way up 2,000 gold in this game, now as Maddie takes down this mid lane outer tower.
Now it's just a lack of discipline if you're PTSD. Like, you finally had a play, you got 3 kills, the gold lead was down to 0, and then you just give up a triple kill on Lee Sin.
And now you get caught in your own jungle.
Yeah, when it rains, it pours. For PTSD, they showed glimpses of how they could play, but I think it's even more so just XSV brain farting compared to PTSD making something happen.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know if Sailor forgot that he had the Rift Herald, or if he knew that he was doing that and didn't think that he was spotted. That was definitely just a brain fart. And then I would give Fiendish Feller some credit with the flank engage from Jarvan coming up from the top side of mid lane right there. It definitely did catch Maddie and Leventon off guard. But then then you just chase too much after it, and now you're left scrambling again just like you were before. It's going to be the soul point coming up here in just over 2 minutes time to convert that into the actual Dragon Soul. It's kill advantage, it's objective advantage, it's gold advantage. XSV have been playing a very, very nice game here. Taking a quick look again at some of the individual players, as I don't think anything's going to happen too much from this engage. We'll see how much Galio wants to kind of stick in there. Does have to run away. Looks like Orion and Moon are coming up, though. Stubby going to end up zoning for that Galio. The Change of Corruption not going to lead into any follow-up, as this does eventually fizzle out. But it's 8-2-5 on this Lee Sin. The initial story of this game was the 3-1 Jarvan, which has now quickly become 5-5 Jarvan. And it's Sailor, again, just being in the right spot at the right time, playing Udyr in that first game, and now a more mechanically intensive champion in Lee Sin. But there's been no drop-off in decision-making, in knowing where to be around the map. This Lee Sin has done a phenomenal job to continue to be the focal point of this team, and then just to work with whoever's around him. We've seen him top lane, we've seen him bot lane. It doesn't matter where Sailor is showing up right now. Good stuff just happens wherever he is.
And I just keep getting harped on the 2 builds by the AD carries, because I feel like I should have been swapped. Varus should have been going the on-hit attack speed type of build, and Caitlyn go for the lethality, long range, hit you with your Q, hit you with the ult, and kill you build. But, they kind of swapped it. Caitlyn's having the more success. I just think if Varus built differently, built what Caitlyn's building, this game looks very different. Instead of 16-7, it might look 14-10, 14-11. There's just a lot of opportunities where, if we had an auto attack build, Moon could be a real menace right now.
Yeah, I think both builds do offer their pros and cons. The poke, you get to be at a longer range. We don't deal as much damage, but there's going to be plenty of damage coming down onto Orion. Not going to be the follow-up commitment from Sailor, though. Don't need to do anything too drastic to kill the Karma support right there, as there will be a bit of a standoff here now in the mid lane. Gonna find the Dragon's Rage, but didn't quite get fully behind, so the Lee Sin ultimate doesn't have the most impact, but it's Jarvan going down first. Change of Corruption lands onto Stubby. Moon is taken extremely low. PTSD are getting melted through by this Caitlyn and this Lux. Now it's gonna be Rumble being caught out there. The final spark takes the life of Zodiac. Moon and Orion have no chance here to be able to continue that fight. Stubby would love to get this chase down kill onto Moon, but it's going to be the little infernal Cinder letting her get away. Oh, but there's a surprise Karma in the bush. Did he see her? Yes, he does. The root is going to come out, though, so Stubby again can't quite continue, but zoning them off now. The recall comes through for Varus, but now Karma's going to be delayed. We see Sailor again off screen converting that Infernal Soul for XSV. The teleport from Setyuki coming out just for good measure as the Lee Sin makes their way up here to the Baron pit. It's a Dragon Soul. It's going to be a 24-minute Baron with looking like PTSD wanting nothing to do with contesting this, because, I mean, there's just, even if they contested it, they're probably not going to get anything from it anyways.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've been knocking on Moon a little too hard here, but for me, coming into this as the best AD carry on paper, and for me, the biggest worth of an AD carry is their ability to keep themselves alive. Moon is not showing that. They're just kiting in the wrong directions, putting themselves in the face of danger, and just eating every skill shot to the face. Those are not the characteristics of somebody who is like a turn-up Tom, who was MVP last season, kept himself alive, and pumped out endless damage.
Well, yeah, obviously, the biggest thing too is that this is the opening series, and as I was saying in the build up to game one, when you asked me about, our predictions as who we thought was going to win, it just kind of felt like that from my perspective. If there was a series that PTSD would lose, you would think that it would probably be against arguably the second best team in the tournament, in the league, right? So I don't think either of us were still expecting it to go down this way up to this point, but it just seems like XSV are having their day. Maybe it is some off days, from the likes of Oso and Zodiac and Moon, right? Like I said, we talked about Moon quite a bit, but it's not like Zodiac or Oso have done anything super impressive either until there. That's a nice little combo with the Jarvan EQ into the Shockwave, but just not enough damage at this point in the game when you've been down for so long. That was a very creative idea, probably the most creative idea we've seen of the entire day, but unfortunately the wallets are just not on the side of PTSD. It ends up being a triple kill for Set Yuki in there. Look at how deep they are on the base trying to chase down those kills. It's going to be the Baron to finally take down that tower. I don't think this will quite be the end of the game just due to the death timers. We'll see how aggressive XSV want to be, but this will at least be a mid lane inhibitor. Probably, if you wanted to, could take that bot lane if you wanted to be safe, but they might try and stick it out here for the end. It's only Moon up right now. Here comes Jarvan and Karma. It's going to be a 3v5 with a lot of low health bars. I don't know if XSV can end it here, and they finally realize they do get that first tower and pull away. Rumble does not quite have teleport yet on the respawn. Leventon going to end up being a sacrificial lamb as Maddie dies on the side. The teleport from Zodiac finds that flank at least, and they will be able to pick up a couple of cleanup kills here on the backside. So Rumble does TP now into the mid lane, but it was actually Zodiac who ends up coming up with a nice little play right there to get a couple of exit kills to hopefully stall out this game for PTSD.
Some decent kills, some decent shutdowns, but again, don't love the Jarvan build. You're going to trying to assassinate the Caitlyn, which he just did on top of an Orion, and they couldn't even kill her. So it's just, what does that build have any use for at that point? You have no one who can walk into objectives. You're already behind. At what point do you build a Stair's Gauge and just hope to get some type of shield action going? It's just, again, goes back to builds.
Yeah, and at this point it's too late. It does look like probably a Death's Dance. I would expect that's what would turn into for a third item as it does get completed, as I say that. But yeah, just it's not going to happen at this point in the game. We're not going to have that sort of golden come now to pivot to it. And yeah, like you build the Eclipse, and then yeah, Sundered Sky and Death's Dance, they don't quite exactly go together, as you were saying, to kind of put it simply, especially for the Jarvan in this instance, right? When you're the Lee Sin, I'm a little bit surprised even he went for that kind of bruiser Lee Sin build with the Eclipse, but we've been seeing a lot of good stuff from both of them to some extent. It just seems like that Sailor has been able to make it work better, of course, individually, but the team as well has done so much to help him out this game. As we've gone, again, we've talked about all the way going back to some of those early plays with just great positioning coming through by his teammates, and we'll see it again there. Orion just caught out too far in the jungle. That's not their jungle anymore. That is XSV's jungle for all intents and purposes, and now it feels like just a matter of time right here as before this game will end. We see Poppy pushing in the mid lane, Moon getting chunked out. They're going to have to tank the ace in the hole as the supers crash mid lane. We're going to see this wave crash here in the bot lane. Stubby on the flank actually gets the connection onto Moon into the wall in the back line. Two-man taunt comes out from Set Yuki. Rumble falls, Jarvan falls. It'll be Zodiac falling last. The order doesn't matter. We'll see if they want to go for one more kill onto Orion as well. The taunt lands, but they want the end. XSV Corn in dominating fashion. Both games sub 30 minutes. Thrash PTSD.
Just absolutely clinical if you're HSV. Top to finish, every single person played their role, did their job. Shout out to Set Yuki, right? This is someone who, in my report, I kind of called out, shat on them. They played their role to perfection. 8-1 and 7 on the Galio, had great engagements, had great defensive plays, and even game one, I didn't love the Vel'Koz pick. Got caught out a couple times, but again, They don't need a hero out of mid lane. They need someone who's going to pump out damage or do their job, which he did to the T.
Yep, and sometimes, yeah, exactly. That's all you need. You look at what their champion pool is for the most part, anyways. And like I said during the draft, Morgana's their most played, at least again according to what I've been able to find. Galio is up there, and then again, you still have some more utility stuff, even like, a Zyra, which is not very common, but offers a different, kind of play style, a lot of CC, not necessarily the most flashy pick, but can do a lot of AoE damage and have a lot of impact in some of these team fights. And I mean, just look at the damage charts. That is one of the most well-rounded damage charts you will ever see. Poppy dealing the least at 15,000, but everyone else was under 20,000 as well. So if this doesn't sum up what a true team effort is, from the damage being done to again the playmaking and the assistance that everyone was giving to each other, XSV Corn were so consistent. They were so consistently dominant, and it results in a 2-0 win here when not a lot of people probably expected. But you and I did, Xana. We both had this prediction coming. I don't know if I would have had 2-0. I think we both probably would have had a 2-1, but
2-1
close
for
enough.
sure. But I
Yeah.
am rich. Pay me, Philly.
Yeah.
This.
Make sure you get on the FillyB exchange. You can be rich like me and Xanazurge if you predict the right matchups. Put all of those Philly bucks in there and you will make some money, baby. Let's go get on it.
Yeah, so I mean, overall, great series by HSV. PTSD, got a lot of homework to do. Hopefully, you don't have some PTSD trauma from this series. You can kind of go back to the drawing board, figure out what went wrong. I have a whole mountain things that went wrong that we could talk about, but I expect them to bounce back week 2. I expect these two teams to still be in the top 3 contentions once the season is over, but huge first showing by HSV.
Yeah, very, very exciting stuff here. A very fun series to get this FillyB Grand Prix started off with a 2-0 again in the favor of XSV Corn, taking the upset over the unanimous first power ranked team in the league, Post-Traumatic Sin Disorder. I think that's about all we have here, right? I think that was, again, very entertaining. I'm out of things to say. What about you, Zen? Anything else you want to say to the people before we log off?
I'm good on my end. Just be ready for more content this week, and then see you guys next week for more games.
Yep, thank you all for tuning in. Congrats once again to XSV Corn for taking this opening series. My name's Steven Meister. That's been Xanazurge. Oh, over there. That's been Xanazurge. Thank you all for being with us, and we'll see you next week.
Blinding lights, lost in your eyes, feeling the pressure. You and I, spending the night, chasing for